In this tutorial, we're going to be creating a username checker that checks the username is available as it's being typed into a form field. So as you can see here, I've got a form field here with username and the field that we're going to type a username into. Then what we've got here is a status message which is going to tell us to either choose a username. If the username is still too short, so we're going to have some checks on that to check if it's too short or not, and then it's going to tell us if the username is available or unavailable. Now what I've done is I've set up a database just called my database. I've got a table called users, which you would usually find this sort of content inside a users table. I've got the username that's already registered, which is PHP Academy, a password and some other information. Now the only field that we're going to be focusing on in this tutorial is the username field, because we're going to automatically match up what's typed in here to this value here, or the value in however many rows you have in your database, and we're going to match this up and tell the user if the username is available or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here and start typing a username. Now say if I wanted to type a 3-character username, that's PHP. You can see it's told me that it's too short. Now in this example the minimum amount is 3, so you have to have more than 3 characters in your username for it to be accepted. So if I now type Alex, we've been given a message saying available. This is because the username Alex doesn't exist in our database at the moment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in PHP Academy. You can see it's already told me that it's available, but as we get to the point where we type PHP Academy, it tells us that the username is not available because it already exists inside this table. Okay, so that's basically how it works, and we can start writing the code now. Okay, so just a quick note before we start typing anything out. This tutorial is being created for example purposes only, so to incorporate this into your own actual form where you're typing out all data, obviously this is only taking into account the username, you'll obviously have to make some changes. Now what we're using is index.php and check.php. Index.php is going to be our interface, so the form, the username field, everything like that. And then check.php is going to be called by jQuery, and it's going to automatically check, return the data, and then display it back in index.php. So the first thing we want to do is set up our HTML tags, and then our head tags. Head is where we're going to include the jQuery file, and also the body tags, which we're going to include all of our body information in, so the form itself. So the first thing we want to do is include jQuery. Now you can download jQuery from jQuery.com, and all you need to do is put the file in the same folder that you're working with. This will just allow us to call the check.php without refreshing the page. So type equals text/JavaScript, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say the source is jQuery.js. That's just how I've saved my jQuery file. And then we're going to end the script there. So we don't need anything in between here. This is just including this script so we can use it in the rest of our page. So now we also need to set up another script area for us to enter the rest of our code that we're going to be using, our JavaScript code, and we're going to be calling jQuery in this. Because we've already included it, we can call it straight in here as well. Okay, so to set up our form, I'm just basically going to set up a form with the name of form, so we can keep it nice and simple. Okay, we can end our form there. Okay, so inside here we want to put username label, and then we're going to break down, and we're going to say input type equals text, because we're entering text data. Let's just go back to our browser and check that out for now. Okay, so we can see we've got username and then where we're going to type our information in. So obviously nothing works at the moment. We're going to give this an ID, and I'm going to call this username underscore input, and then I'm going to give this a name, so I'm going to say username. The reason I'm calling this username input is just to distinguish between this, the ID of this, and the name of this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to enclose the, in fact what we're going to do is, come down here and we're going to create a new div, and this is going to have the ID of feedback, so we can address this and then put some feedback inside there. Now nothing needs to go in here right now, because what we're going to do is we're going to use jQuery to put data into this feedback, and that data is going to come from check.php. So as you can see at the moment, if I leave this in here at the moment, you can see that we actually get that data out inside that div. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is put this further up, so it's just underneath the form field, and to do that we're going to use some CSS. So we're going to type style equals style type equals text /CSS. I'm going to end that style tag, and inside we're going to use hash and then feedback. This hash identifies this as a div, so we're formatting this div, and all I'm going to do is say line hyphen height and then 0px. So basically now when we refresh this, this has gone further up. So that's just a bit of styling just to make everything look a bit nicer. So we've styled this div here. We can take out this text, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to start writing my jQuery. Now what we first of all need to do is create a sort of like a document area where we're going to call, when the document is ready, we're going to start a function. So as soon as the document is ready, we're typing $ and then document in brackets, and then we're going to type ready, and then again in brackets we're going to type function, and then 2 brackets there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up a curly bracket. We're going to come down and end that curly bracket, so we've still got this, and this here is where this started, and then we're using a line terminator, which is a semicolon, to end that. So basically what we've got here, let's align this up so we can see it better, is we're saying when the document is ready, start a function, and then we're going to everything in here is going to be when the document is actually ready. So the first thing we need to do is we need to load check.php up here into the document, or into the feedback div rather, down here. And we're going to do this by $, and then in brackets we're going to have hash feedback, and remember hash to identify it's a div, and we're going to say .load, and then in brackets we're going to say check.php, and then we're going to say .show to make sure this is shown to the user. We don't need this because we haven't originally hidden the div, but we're just using show. I'm going to show you just to show you a function really. So if this is successful, then the contents of check.php up here, which is nothing at the moment, should be put directly into the feedback div. So we'll give that a go. We'll just enter some dummy data into here. Oh, dummy data. And then we'll open up our browser. I'm going to refresh here, and you can see that it says dummy data. Now nowhere on our index.php do we have dummy data. So basically what we've essentially done is included the contents of check.php into our div using jQuery. And the reason this is useful is we can, on the fly, we can check for this username and put the results from check.php, which is going to check our username, straight back into the feedback div without refreshing. So I'm going to take away this. And what we're going to do now is we're using the keyUp method, and this is going to allow us to say when a key is pressed or when a key comes up. So it's pressed, and then when it comes up we're going to create a new function. And to do this we're going to use $ again, and this time we're saying hash username underscore input. Now remember what we did here is what we wrote here. So we've identified this as username underscore input, and that is the input field itself. So this is the user input field itself, and what we can do is we can then say what we want to do with this method. So we're using key up and then function, again like we did up here. We're going to open up a curly bracket, come down and close it, and then pop a line terminator on here. So basically when we have a key up event inside here, we're going to execute, or rather put forward some results. So for now, what I'm going to do for testing purposes is I'm going to say $feedback.append, and then we're just going to choose something to append with. So I'm going to choose the character A, and then remember to terminate that with the line terminator. So let me just run through this. We've run the document is ready. We've loaded check.php into the feedback div. Then what we're doing is we're checking the username input, which is here, which is this input type. And when a key up happens, we're going to run a function, which is sort of like empty at the moment, and we're going to append the character A to the feedback div. So let's check this. Nothing's displayed at the moment because there's nothing inside our check.php file, but like I said before, for testing purposes, when we type something, whatever it may be, and I'm even pressing backspace and it's appending an A, so we can type absolutely anything, and you can see that as we do this, we're appending an A onto this, or rather into this feedback div. So obviously this function is useless to us, we don't need this, but what we are going to do is we're going to run a post, and we're going to post data to check.php to allow us to check and then feed us back the results. And like you've seen here, we've appended A's in here. Instead of appending A's, we're going to feed back the results from our check.php file. So to do this, we're going to say $.post, and this is going to allow us to post data to a specific file contained within here. And obviously this is going to be check.php because we're using PHP code inside that to check our username. And then we're going to have a comma, remember, inside the rounded brackets, and then we're going to have an opening closing curly brackets, and we're going to put forward our post data. So I'm going to call this username. Now this is the method, this is the variable that we're going to be passing to check.php, and now after the colon we need the value of this. And if we come back down again, remember we've called our form, so we're going to use form value of username. So basically to do this, we just write form.username.value, and that's going to grab the value of the text field called username inside the form called form. So it's pretty simple. The next thing we want to do is, after the curly bracket, we need another comma, and we're going to come down and we're going to type function, and this time inside the rounded brackets we're going to type